It's a very good question. Well, first thing is crop, right? We need to adjust the composition. And as it turns out, this tool right here is the crop tool. And the reason it looks like a funny looking square thing is because there's actually a physical device called a crop tool, which you move it in and out, and it makes various rectangles all the same aspect ratio. So anyway, you might say, oh, well, that looks like a perfectly good picture. But, you know, there's lots of background, lots of foreground, distracting hat. So we can just draw a little crop box like this, say. And now you have a much more dramatic picture of the girl. Right?
Can I try to get you to wear this mic as well?
Oh, I didn't wear it? Okay. Did it fall off? I thought it was...
And if we can get it up on your collar, that'd be a lot better.
I can get it up on my collar. Does that work?
Yeah, just leave it hanging out over there. Thank you.
Twice the mics. Double the mics, double the pleasure. Okay. So cropping is pretty much the first thing you do to take a snapshot and turn it into a nice photograph, because a lot of people take pictures without zooming in on something, or they just weren't close enough, or maybe there's only one interesting part of the photo. You've got to crop. It's all about the crop. And next, levels. Now, how many of you here actually have Photoshop? Anybody? Does anybody else use any other photo editors? PaintShop Pro, and you guys?
The GIMP.
The GIMP?
Photoshop the GIMP.
Photoshop the GIMP. Okay. I've never used PaintShop Pro, but the GIMP has exactly the same tools, just in different places in the menu. Dialog boxes might be named differently, but it's exactly the same thing. Right? So, again, we got levels. So, we got a nice picture of a pretty girl, but there's lots of distracting background here, which we really don't need. So now it's a picture of the girl, not a picture of a girl standing in the backyard with a whole bunch of junk. But the problem is her face around here, kind of dark. So we want to do levels. We go to Image, Adjustments, and Levels, or Control L. So let me move this dialog box so that it's more prominent. Okay. You got three major controls here: input levels, output levels, and channel. In this case, all we care about is input levels. Now, the input levels themselves have three major controls here. One of them, the first box, corresponds to that dot there. That's called the black level. This middle one here corresponds with the middle control, and that's called gamma. And then on the right, that's called white point. So here, let me show you what it does. Moving this white point here basically just tells Photoshop which level you want to be absolute white. So in this case, we want to move it over till the image is just light enough. Now, gamma, it's hard to explain what it does, so I won't. But if you move it to the left, your image gets lighter. Move it to the right, your image gets darker. In this case, you want to move it to the left, and voila, girl's got a face with detail. And now this, see, we can slide that in. And now we've got a nice image. And if I undo, then you can see there's actually quite a difference between the original and the new one. Yeah, you have a question?
How do you feel about auto levels?
Auto levels actually doesn't do very much. Here, I'll show you. Okay? That's all the auto levels did here. Right? It turned it from being sepia toned, which was an intentional option I set on the camera, to being a neutral gray. And why did it do that? Here, I'll show you. Because what auto levels does is it just takes this this white thing and moves it, far enough left to, to the point where it would, hit these bumps here on the histogram, and it does the same thing with the black. Well, in this case, the histogram, already has enough detail on the right side, and it's got enough detail on the left side. So auto levels doesn't really do anything with it. And it's been my experience that most pictures that were taken with the digital camera, auto levels doesn't help with. Okay, so our next important thing here is color balance. And quite simply, that's for balancing your color. Does anybody here know what the white balance on their camera does? Okay. Most people don't know. Well, basically, to your eye, anything can look white if it's just the brightest thing there. So, so these incandescent lights up in the top of the room, they look white, and the sun looks white, but they're actually vastly different colors. And your camera doesn't really know which white your eye is looking at. So it just has to guess, or you can tell it. Now, in this case here, that's a cute picture of a baby, right? But we can do better. Why? Because the white balance is off. And so we can easily fix the white balance by going Images, Adjustment, Color Balance, or Control B. And how do you do all these settings? Well, actually, there's nothing scientific about it. I just move them left and right until, I see it get either better or worse. So in this case, right? I'm sorry?
The white balance adjustment is the same white balance adjustment you have on monitors.
Well, monitors don't actually have a white balance adjustment. What they have is a white point setting. So you tell the monitor, when the computer tells you to display white, I want it to look like the sun outside, or I want it to look like the sun outside on a cloudy day, or something like that. But you're not actually adjusting the white balance of the monitor. So, okay, so it turns out moving this yellow slider over makes it look pretty good, although not on that. Unfortunately, our projector is very poorly calibrated. So anyway, I can move the magenta slider over and see, if it helps, or the green slider. Okay, green, usually you don't want to add green to a picture because pictures of people look very bad if they're green. Again, cyan can kind of make people look sickly, but red, makes people look normal. So if you look at you look at the picture up here, you can see that looks like much more natural skin tones than what we had before. And if I undo, you see this looks like, nice looking people. And in comparison, this looks like kind of sick looking people, right? But we're not done. We can still do levels. I'll move my white point over here. And now it looks like the room was fairly bright, right? And I can adjust this slider here till I see something that looks good. And I might say, okay, well, I want the face to be really light, but that makes the picture washed out. So then I'll take my black slider and move it in. So instead of having a washed out picture, it's a nicely adjusted contrast. And you can see the difference here before and after. Unfortunately, it doesn't look as good on the projector as it does in real life, but we'll just have to live with that. Okay. And let's go to the next thing here. Hue, saturation. I will open a picture here. Okay, so for people who don't know color theory, hue is basically what we call color. Like red is a hue, green is a hue, blue is a hue, white and black are not hues. And saturation is basically the difference between brown and yellow. So a really saturated brown is actually yellow, and a very unsaturated yellow is brown. And so what we have in this case is a fairly ordinary looking picture of some pastels. And first thing we'll do is do some levels. And you can see we have plenty of room to move this white point over here. And now we've got some nice brighter looking pastels. But allow us to go to the hue and saturation adjustment dialog here. And you see we can shift the hues, which very rarely does anything useful. We can increase the saturation, which makes it very bright and colorful. Or we can desaturate it all the way to black and white. In this case, we want colorful. So I can drag it out to, say, here, and we've got a nice, much more lively image. So from a little bit dull to more lively. Unfortunately, this projector doesn't show it as well as I would like it to. Okay. Okay, so now we have an interesting technique here. You know, a lot of people love to take pictures with film instead of digital because of you know, the look of black and white film. And fortunately, digital photographers there are at parity with them because you can make anything look just the same as they can. And let me show you how. Okay. So, every image in a computer is composed of 3 channels. A red channel, a green channel, and a blue channel. And in fact, if we go to the channels window here, then Photoshop will allow me to select them and show you. So this is what the red channel looks like. This is what the blue channel looks like, green channel, and here's the blue channel. And one thing that you'll notice is that the skin tones and the red channel look very, very smooth. It turns out that most people's blemishes and their skin are actually in the green and blue channels, and we can use that to our advantage here. So, let me show you the feature called the channel mixer. Now, what this particular feature does is it allows you to individually mix the red, green, and blue channels however you want. And in this case, you want to make it monochrome and tell it how much of each channel to add in to make a nice looking picture. And so let's say we can choose this. Are we getting feedback here? I can wait. Can you? It's aliens invading. Okay, no more feedback. Okay, so so we've successfully mixed our channels to go from decent color to nice looking black and white. And of course, then we can go into our levels here and adjust it as we see fit.